Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. And let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from Classic Adagio 7338 and says, my boyfriend invited me to his dad's for dinner and I ended up sitting there hungry while everyone else ate. Am I overreacting? I read it. I, 21 female, have been with my boyfriend, 22 male, for almost 2 years. For context, I've been pescatarian for about a year and 3 months. I only ate meat for the first time a few months of our relationship, so his family knows I don't eat meat. Yesterday was his grandma's birthday party. He had brisket and sides, so I just had fruit and veggies. Totally fine since it was a big party and I'd had a smoothie beforehand. Later, his aunt texted that they were opening their pool on his dad's side of the family. His parents are divorced. We decided to stop by. The pool party was fun, but my clothes got soaked. Afterwards, instead of going back to my house, where my grandparents were already planning to make tacos for the both of us, we ended up changing plans and going to his dad's house because they were planning on eating there. At this point, my clothes are still soaking wet, so I'm in his oversized shorts and shirt. I'm also on my period, stressed, and haven't had a real meal in hours. When we got to his dad's, they decided to make pizzas and burgers. My boyfriend is in charge of the pizzas, so I assumed he'd make a cheese one. Nope, it's a combination pizza. Burgers, hot dogs, combination pizza. Literally nothing I can eat. Nobody asked me what I wanted, except earlier when someone offered me a burger. Obviously, I said no, which they later realized but didn't say anything. I started to get visibly upset and my boyfriend asked what was wrong. I didn't want to make a big deal, so we went outside to talk quickly. Finally, I asked him, so were you just expecting me to sit there and watch everyone else eat in silence? He kind of brushed it off saying, it's fine, I'll just eat and then we can leave and go to your house. But that annoyed me, because we had plans that would have involved both of us eating, and I would never do that to him at my house. Right before everyone ate, I went to the bathroom and teared up because I felt like crap, hungry, awkward, and uncomfortable. When I came back, everyone else had food, and I was just sitting there with nothing. To top it off, he handed me the tiniest side cup of waffle fries, like 6 fries, and when I said I didn't want them, he just ate them himself. It honestly just shocked me that no one in his family noticed or offered me anything. My grandparents would never let my boyfriend sit there without a meal, ever. So Reddit, was I overreacting? Would you be upset if your partner put you in this situation? How would you handle it? The top commenter on that post says, thoughtless of your boyfriend, but you kind of knew the deal when you ate at his grandma's birthday party. If I was eating over there, I would bring my own food, so I knew there was something for me to eat. Kind of sends a subtle message too. One virus reply saying, remember, they were planning to go and have a meal at a relative's place. She already had drunk a smoothie and made it through one family gathering that ignored her. She was supposed to go have a meal and they changed plans, and her boyfriend saying it's fine is what pissed me off. It's fine for who? He's completely invalidating her feelings instead of having an aha moment and apologizing. No Beyond says your boyfriend wasn't thinking of you at all and acted very badly. None of what happened is your fault, but one of the greatest lessons you will ever learn in life is to tell people how you actually feel. It's okay to say, no, I don't want to change plans. It's okay to say, I'm wet, hungry, and want to go to my grandparents' house. It's okay to ask for what you want. Stally says, what's happened to hospitality now? I would never allow a guest to go hungry because they have restrictions, self-imposed or for medical reasons. It was spur of the moment, but I have a hard time believing there wasn't something in the pantry or freezer that could have been heated up relatively easy. It wasn't a stranger's house, it was his parents, and he has the social obligation to bridge the communication and hospitality gap there if the parents aren't recognizing the need or just choosing not to acknowledge it. It's not relationship ending, not even close if it's a first offense. But it was certainly very rude, and I'm glad you've addressed it privately. If it becomes a pattern, then you may need to reevaluate the relationship. Yeah, on the back of that comment, it's the fact that he was literally in charge of making the pizzas as well and still made a combo one instead of at least like one cheese pizza for her. I mean, it's just either thoughtless or inconsiderate, neither of which are great. But in the same post, OP comes in with an update and says, "Hey guys, just wanted to give a little update and some more context. First off, a lot of people thought that my boyfriend was actively making a pizza. But what I meant was that it was just a frozen pizza. So there really wasn't much he could do about it in that moment." Oh. Where I feel he went wrong was not telling me right away that there wasn't really anything for me to eat. I kind of had to figure it out on my own. I wasn't standing near him when he put the pizza in the oven, so I didn't realize it was a combination pizza until the oven was almost done preheating. I do realize now that I should have brought something I could eat, but to be fair, I didn't even know we were going to his dad's house. I thought we'd be going to my grandparents' house, where I live, so I wasn't prepared. Looking back, I think we were both a little in the wrong. It was just a sucky, awkward situation overall. I do think it was very inconsiderate, and we did have a long talk about it, but it's not something I could hold against him for the rest of his life. Also, a lot of people said I should have just stuck up for myself. I'm honestly not a very outgoing person, and I really didn't know what to say in that moment. I know I need to work on that, but at the time I was just stuck in a super awkward situation and didn't know how to speak up. I don't blame his family at all, because it's not really their job to accommodate me. That said, as a host, I personally would never want to make someone feel like that. Lesson learned. I'll definitely be more prepared next time. Hopefully no one else ever has to be in that kind of uncomfortable situation, because yeah, it was not fun. I just found that update kind of sad because OP was saying it's not really their job to accommodate me, and I was like, come on, please. I know my family who host barbecues quite often, the amount that they accommodate for everyone else is absolutely insane, and they would never let someone be in this situation. Can you imagine standing there watching your partner eat nothing while you stand there and stuff your face, and then offer a token 6 fries, and when they're refused, you eat them yourself? I mean, what the fuck? Anyway, what do you guys make of this situation? How would you deal with it if it was you? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Our next story comes from the relationships advice subreddit from Wife Going Crazy, who says, "Me, 32 male, with my wife, 30 female, of 6 years. I believe she is gaslighting me, and I don't know what to do." First and foremost, yes, I know this sounds ridiculous, and this will probably get downvoted as a troll post, but I sincerely don't know where to turn. I've never experienced anything like this. Little background, my wife has always been sort of a jokester. She has a great poker face and I'm fairly gullible, so she'll feed me little innocuous lies pretty frequently and delights when I fall for them. But she's never kept a deception going for more than a day. She also got really into weird Twitter a few months ago, and her sense of humor has become pretty inscrutable and opaque to me. But until very recently, I've just considered it as sort of an endearing quirk. So anyway, for Christmas, my in-laws got all of us Battlestar Galactica on DVD. They were always raving about it and neither of us had watched it. I had to leave for a business trip on the 30th and my wife was sick, so we ended up just marathoning the whole thing before I left. Without giving too much away, the ending is a little heavy on the religious angle. I liked it, but my wife thought it ruined the entire show. I know general consensus is it's a bit of a letdown, but I frankly felt it was pretty consistent with what the show had been building up to the whole time. My wife couldn't believe that I didn't feel the same way as her. I wouldn't quite describe her as livid, but she was mad. I figured this was partially a reaction from her just being fed up from being sick for a week. But it was so out of character for her. We barely ever fight, and this was over something so trivial. She called me a moron and ended up tossing and turning after we went to bed and eventually left to sleep on the couch. When I got up in the morning to head to the airport, she was still fast asleep, and when I gently shook her to say goodbye, she barely roused and didn't respond when I said I loved her. Fast forward to Monday. I get back from the trip. Friend picks me up from the airport because wife has a class at the gym that she couldn't miss. We'd been texting while I was gone and she apologized for being weird about things, and I thought everything was back to normal. But I found it a bit odd that she couldn't skip a gym session to grab me. I couldn't sleep on the plane, so I hit the hay when I got home. When I woke up, she was already awake and busy in the kitchen, which is bizarre, since she doesn't work and usually doesn't wake up until 10ish. I commented on this and hugged her and said good morning, and she basically responded with little grunts. I was about to leave when she handed me a brown bag lunch. She has never done this before and said to me, "It's cold out there, better hoagie down." I grabbed the bag and just said, "What?" And she walked to the bathroom and slammed the door. I was going to be late for a meeting, so I couldn't stick around to try and make sense of what was happening. After I got out, I texted her frantically to try and figure things out, but she kept responding like it never happened. Everything was fine. She loved me. She asked me to please stop being so weird. When I got home, it was more of the same. I assumed it must be one of her weird jokes and decided to leave it. Every morning this week, same exact thing. Wife is up, won't speak to me, hands me a brown bag lunch and says, "It's cold out there, better hoagie down." Walks to the bathroom and slams the door. This morning, I had enough and yelled at her through the door, pleaded with her to stop, but she didn't say a word. Every night it's been the same thing. "Didn't happen. What are you talking about? You're being crazy. None of this is happening." She's been legitimately angry with me, and for the past few nights we haven't been sleeping together. I heard her talking to her mother about this on the phone. I seriously have no idea what to do. I brought up couples counseling and she was incredulous. Is this some weird Twitter thing or new meme that I don't know about? Even if it is, she's taken this way too far. I don't know how I'm going to spend a weekend at home with her. Does anyone have any advice? Edit. Thanks for the help, everyone. I've been up all night worrying and I'm going to finally try and get some sleep. Taking the day off work, going to try and have a serious discussion with my wife, her parents, and get a hold of a psychiatrist when I wake up. We'll keep everyone posted. Update. Woke up an hour ago with a huge headache. Went to the fridge to get a protein smoothie and saw that it had been cleared of what little food we had in there. Wife was not in the house. Got dressed and went to the door with the intent of going to get some food. Saw a brown paper bag with "It's cold out there, better hoagie down" written in cursive taped to the door. Opened the bag and a can of ginger ale was in there. Went outside and her car is still there. But as far as I can tell, she took the wallet, keys, coat, etc. We live about 5 minutes outside of a nice town and she likes to take long walks, so I'm assuming that's where she is. This has officially gone way too far. I'm going to wait an hour and see if she comes home or she or her parents returns my call. If not, I'm driving to her parents to hopefully make sense of the situation. Bring in the video of her and the bag. We'll update tonight, hopefully. Edit 2, did not realize external links were not allowed, and update 2, no sign of her. Got a call from her parents that was just sounds of them arguing in the background. Hung up after about 30 seconds. No idea what that's about. Driving there now. What an absolute bizarre situation, and the better hoagie down thing is so strange it almost feels like dreamlike, like it's happening again and again every single morning. I was kind of wondering, could OP just like record one of the days just so you got like, this is actually happening kind of thing. Someone said to OP, do you by chance know what she has said to her mother? Finding out whatever dialogue or information she has shared with her mother may reveal the information you need. At the very least, you could rule out any kind of sleep, psychotic, or personality disorders that are being brought up in the comments. If you have a good relationship with her mother, maybe consider exploring that avenue and inquire with the mother about any possible oddities that the mother may have perceived while sharing what has been going on between you two. Opie says, I tried to get in contact with her parents today twice, but I just got voicemail. I left a message the second time, but it seems odd to me that I haven't heard back from them yet. They're both retired and one of them is almost always home. She was telling her mother that I've been gaslighting her, and that it's weird and out of character for me, and she's worried that there might be something seriously wrong with me, and she's not sure what to do. I'm worried that her parents heard my message, but because their daughter talked to them first, they're operating under the assumption that I'm being delusional. Another commenter says, couple of things. Either she is playing a terrible prank on you, she is sleepwalking, she is mentally ill, you are mentally ill. I would honestly sit her down and explain to her that you can't live like this and her behavior is jeopardizing your relationship. If she doesn't acknowledge she isn't doing anything wrong, I would honestly contact her mother and explain the situation and what they have been talking about. If she really isn't playing a prank on you, she could possibly be sleepwalking. If she isn't sleepwalking, she could be potentially mentally ill, and you should somehow try and get her to undergo a neurological exam. At the same time, it also could be you who is slowly losing their mind. There was a post earlier with this type of situation. Turns out she was not stable and slowly losing her mind. Scary shit. And then people were obviously adding the carbon monoxide again. That always turns up in these Reddit posts. Pink Wolf Spirit says, does she take a RX sleeping drug that starts with A? My friend took them 8 years ago, and his wife called me worried because he would wake up in the middle of the night and turn the stove on and do things and go back to bed and not remember. And I've read a lot of articles about this sleeping drug, that people get up and go out and drive and have accidents and have no memory of it. It's like they are sleepwalking. Opie says she does not take that drug, no. She was taking Seroquel in low dosage for a while after dealing with a traumatic event. That was over a year ago now. She does occasionally take Xanax for anxiety also, but only occasionally. And one final comment from Bullshit Translator who says, I can honestly say, I've never read a post on relationships that made me say what the fuck. This just did. You aren't the crazy one, OP. This sounds like a precursor before some shining level shit. You said that you recorded it in some of your other comments and you showed it to her. Her not reacting to it after repeatedly telling you it didn't happen is odd. If it was a joke, that would have been it. And she's trying to discount video proof of her actions. Maybe she's finally snapped, or maybe she's just taken it too far. The fact that she's even telling her folks about it to make you look like the crazy one means you need to get out. Find a friend's place for a week and go low contact. Don't get set up by her for whatever scheme she has going. So, OP did come back in with an update and says, I tried posting this a couple of days ago, but apparently it got deleted due to formatting issues or something. Logged in just now via my brother's phone. Currently inpatient. Not supposed to have access to a phone. Shush. And saw that my inbox had blown up. So attempting to post again. Hopefully this won't get eaten too. Not going to bother to edit, just copy and paste in. So if the timeline seems off, read this as if it was a couple of days ago. I'm currently sedated, but I wanted to post this update because I don't know when I have a chance to next. The short of it is that my wife was not at fault here. I was. I've got into the habit of taking Benadryl to help me sleep through the night. My wife snores and I'm allergic to her cat, so it makes sense. And over time I've ended up taking more and more to the point that some nights I'll take 5 or 6 if I'm having trouble breathing. I know this is probably really stupid, and it bit me in the ass. When I got home from the airport, all 3 of my wife's cats were on the bed. I searched my nightstand for some Benadryl and couldn't find any. I looked in my wife's drawer and found a bottle of hers. She's also allergic to her cats, go figure, but also gets allergy shots. It turns out that the Benadryl bottle was actually where she was keeping her old Seroquel. Both are pink, so I didn't give it a second thought. I popped 6, I went to sleep. This is apparently where everything unraveled. Fast forward to my driving to her parents' house. I started feeling incredibly dizzy about an hour out and pulled over. I sat in the car for a while, but the feeling didn't go away, so I decided to get a motel and confront them the next day. I took a handful of the Seroquel and went to sleep. I got up today in this weird mania. I go to her parents' place at 9ish. Her car was there, which didn't make any sense. I rang the doorbell and her father opened the door. He was surprised to see me. I was sweating heavily and having a hard time speaking. My father-in-law has always been exceptionally kind to me, and he was sort of straddling the line between concern and terror. I didn't understand what was going on. I started crying. I brought out the paper bag and I tried to explain. I pulled out my phone to show him the video. My wife ran to the door with this pained expression on her face and asked me what I was doing, pleading with me to calm down. My in-law said I'd been terrorizing his daughter. I had no idea why I would do this. I didn't understand. She pulled out her phone and showed me a video. It was me banging on the bathroom door, yelling at her to come out. She had clearly taken it from behind the couch in the living room. She showed me another of me just standing at the door before work, just staring at nothing. She showed me video of my behavior after I came home from work, and I was being much more aggressive and much less cognate than I remembered. Apparently, she had left home Tuesday night. I was alone in the house for 2 days. I just collapsed. I pulled at the video on my phone, or I tried to. I couldn't find it. All I found were 16 odd pictures of the ground and my feet in quick succession. It was right around that point that I started experiencing this crippling dizziness and this feeling that I can't quite describe as nauseous, but it felt like I couldn't sit still, and I was shaking, and I felt like no direction was up. The doctors told me this was called akathisia. Apparently someone called an ambulance because I could not sit still and said I thought I was dying. At the hospital I was barely able to talk and I couldn't concentrate and I just wanted to sleep. They apparently pumped me full of Ativan and I slept for 5 or 6 hours. When I came to, they started asking me a ton of questions. Once we got to medications I may have taken, I mentioned the Benadryl and my wife realized what had happened and explained about the Seroquel. They're not entirely sure, but at this point their best guess is the Seroquel either put me into some manic state or triggered some underlying schizophrenia, something, or I don't know. They don't really know how to explain the delusions and the hallucinations right now, but it's the best they've got at the moment. They asked if anyone in my family had a history of mental illness, and I responded that I didn't know. My parents are pretty old, and I didn't know much about my grandparents. The dizziness started to roll over me again, and they gave me more Ativan, and I went back to sleep. While I was out, my wife contacted my parents. Apparently my grandfather had a mean temper and suffered delusions from time to time, rambling about things that didn't make sense and waking up at weird hours to do God knows what. He never got a diagnosis and died fairly young, but my mother and her family think it might have been schizophrenia. So maybe something, maybe nothing, who knows? So right now I'm sitting in the hospital. The doctor and my wife are throwing around a number of ideas. I'm going to see a psychiatrist who's going to make a determination about what the next step is for sure. My wife is, rightfully, frightened of being around me in my current state. And while she doesn't appear to be mad at me, she says she would rather my brother look after me until I get a proper diagnosis / get prescribed some medication. I have no idea where I came up with the phrase hoagie down. I was listening to a radio show that mentions hoagies and Philly a lot. The best show, formerly of WFMU, got the box set for Christmas. Maybe that's where I got it, but they never used the phrase specifically. I don't know, I have no idea. I guess I just want to thank everyone who tried to help. Sorry if this ended up being a time waster or anticlimactic or whatever. Wow, and I'm glad he is getting some proper psychiatric care in the end. That must have been absolutely terrifying for his wife, going through days of her husband having some mental health crisis, not knowing what's going on, acting aggressively, and just seeing him standing there in the living room just staring at nothing. It must have been terrifying. It would have been really interesting to get another update further down the line when hopefully he's on some kind of medication or whatever needed to help him out, and whether they did stay together after this. But what do you guys make of this one? Absolutely wild. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me, so thank you so much, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.